Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to give everybody a couple of minutes to file in. I see the participant numbers rolling up now, but welcome. Well, we're going to spend a better part of the next hour talking about outsourcing, and specifically outsourcing when it comes to dental revenue cycle management. So appreciate you joining us today. We have J.W. Oliver and Nina Lewis from Support DDS with us. So again, just want to give everybody a minute or two to file in, and then we'll get kind of roll through the presentation. And then we'll have some time towards the end of this webinar for Q&A. We already had probably about 9 or 10 really, really good questions that came in from registrants like yourself ahead of time. So we'll make sure we answer those. And if you happen to have any questions that come up during the presentation, you can put those either in the Q&A area or the chat area, and we will hopefully get to those during the presentation. If not, either Nina or JW will get back to you and answer those questions. So I think without further ado, I am going to turn over the presentation to J.W. Oliver, who's the managing partner at Support DDS, and Nina Lewis, who is the director of RCM. So whoever wants to kick it off, go for it.
Oh, I guess I will. I'm going to jump in there. Hey, Bill, always good to see you, my friend. We are really excited about this. I've got Miss Nina Lewis. She's our director of RCM, and we're gonna talk a little bit about timing, when you should add it, when's it appropriate, how to implement it, and just some strategies about that successful information. So I'm going to let Nina walk through what the overview looks like, and she's going to handle a lot of the technical aspects of revenue cycle management. And by the way, unless you're a DSO, and even maybe if you're a small DSO, some people don't even know what RCM means, right? I was with a really close friend of mine, and husband-wife dentist, and the wife mentioned it and said, "Yeah, RCM," and he's been a dentist for 30 plus years and says, "I'm sorry, what is RCM?" So don't want to take for granted that everyone knows what that terminology means when we say RCM. So we'll refer to it as revenue cycle management here, so it's clear. And Nina's going to explain when that cycle starts and the aspects of it. So without further ado, Queen Nina with her yellow earrings and yellow shirt on. She's looking very bee-ish as well. So thank you, Nina, for joining us, and I'll let you kind of go from here.
Yes, thank you, JW. Thank you, Bill. For those of you that don't know, my name is Nina Lewis, and as JW said, I'm the director of RCM at Support DDS. I have been in the dental space for 24 years, and I look forward to kind of going over all of the RCM functions with you all today. So today we are hoping that you all walk away with an understanding of the core functions of what revenue cycle management is and how it really can impact a dental practice's profitability. We're also going to explore the financial and operational benefits of outsourcing RCM services to specialized teams. So really for me, what that means is it's not always taking over someone's RCM in full, but maybe special projects or cleanups or one specific area that you need support in. We hope that you learn how Support DDS can help streamline claim processing, reduce denials, and accelerate payment collections. We will also discover strategies to manage staffing challenges while enhancing patient satisfaction through efficient RCM. And then my favorite part is we're going to analyze some case studies showcasing the successful implementation of outsourced RCM solutions in dental practices that we currently serve. So as JW said, what is RCM? That is revenue cycle management. And really that starts from the moment that you do a patient intake. So getting all of the proper information from a patient is so crucial to everything that happens after that. From there, it's many of the things that you all know. So creating the claim submission, insurance verification, posting of those insurance payments, and then getting into the nitty gritty of insurance claim follow-up and then patient AR follow-up as well. A lot of times people ask why you should outsource. Well, there's a lot of great reasons to do that. One, you can scale a lot easier. There is plenty of outsourcing individuals who are experts in this area. For technology purposes, it's also great. It is extremely cost effective. We can help standardize your operational processes and even help give you insight into things that maybe you just aren't aware of. And then this also allows your internal team to really focus on that patient care, which we all know is really the most important part of why you are servicing patients.
Yeah, good stuff, Nina. I would like to say, I think that's a real important piece to focus on is when you're trying to do that within the office, when you're trying to take care of the whole cycle, many times it gets very fragmented, and it does allow your in-office. We're really big on that at Support DDS, and allowing your in-office team to provide the highest level of patient care they can, and taking these tasks off of them, I think is important. So we'll run through some of the operational impacts. Enhanced staffing efficiency, just allowing you not to have to worry about the challenge of sourcing, going through. We've got what we call our talent acquisition department, which does all that and really provides you with top-notch clients, a broader, more qualified workforce, and then a lower attrition rate. And when I say lower attrition rate, just a quick note, attrition they say 52% of all dental office front staff are currently looking for a job or looking for a change. And that means, it doesn't mean 52% are quitting, but they are considering it at least. And when you look at our attrition rate, we're now at about 0.5% per month or 6% per year, which is well below what you would see in this industry, which could be as high as 80 to 90% when you're talking about the outsourcing space. The other part is streamlined training and onboarding. We're doing some pre-training and operations terminology, as well as helping them understand the different PMSs and the pieces that go together, reducing the time and resources needed to train them so you don't have to spend that time training. You're going to have to train them to kind of your systems and how you want it done and how you want it processed, but it does reduce that significantly. And also, I think it ensures the operational continuity that's going on in your office. Reduced HR administrative burdens. This is big. You don't have to worry about the HR responsibilities. Also, the processing of benefits. I always say this: if you really think you're getting somebody for $15 an hour, it's typically 40% additional cost on top of that. When you look at the related benefit, I think it's 38% when you look at related benefits, payroll, legal compliance. So that $15 turns into $22 to $25. We hear that all the time. Well, yours is $12 an hour, but hey, I can get somebody locally for $15. Well, it's just not true. If you're paying payroll taxes and you're doing benefits and legal compliance and everything else, it's probably going to be closer to that $25. And consistent patient experience by allowing your front office to handle the in-person, the clients that are there, and getting them out of some of these tasks, especially when we talk about revenue cycle management. I think you can improve the consistency, the patient satisfaction, the patient experience, and also just give us a call, go through those discovery calls and listen to the Queen's English. It's quite nice as well. And the financial impact, Nina, you might handle this first one. Talk about the savings from a revenue cycle management standpoint.
Yeah, so as you guys can see, to outsource a team member is typically going to be around $3,000. We have $2,980 on here, and that's per month. They're dedicated to you, and that's 40 hours a week, matching the hours that you would want them to work. That is significantly lower than a stateside worker that you will find. Average cost we have on here is $55,000. I mean, I'm guessing in some areas it's drastically more. So we really are confident in the fact that you're going to have a 50% savings there.
Yeah, and I want to point that out. These numbers, we modified our deck for this. That 2980, we substituted it. We didn't update all the costs all the way through. That 3,000 would be obviously closer to 36,000 for the annual cost. This is for the revenue cycle management, our elite program, which Nina oversees. She'll go through that later. Our average team member that comes on board for typical administrative outsourcing, if you will, insourcing, we call it, is 2180, and that's where those numbers came from. You're going to see that relatively stay the same with the RCM at 2980, and you're getting all of the experience of our team through the audits and the training that Nina is going to go into as well.
Which we'll get
And
into a little bit later, yeah.
yeah. So don't be scared by thinking it's all 2980. It does start at 2180, which we can even provide assistance with DSOs with their current team member at the 2180. This is a complete one that has oversight in it. So eliminate of hidden costs. We want to avoid any indirect cost with a high turnover. Also, it's going to eliminate the repeated hiring, training, productivity. When you talk about our RCM Elite program, that's going to be covered as well. Stable workforce, again, I've kind of mentioned this one. You actually do gain a much more stable, consistent continuity workforce, especially when you look at the RCM program, because that's something, if there is any attrition at all there, then that's something that Nina and her team will be able to backfill without any downtime as well. And then obviously the operational continuity that goes with it. Scalable. When you look at the average savings from, let's say, $30,000 for an outsourced team member, and if you compared that to what you would see of scaling with 5, if that's the 145, you're going to see really consistent savings of that 50, even 55% that you're able to say, and scale quickly. When you talk about even the RCM team or any of our other teams, you could scale from 1 to 10 literally within 3 weeks time. We could scale you up quickly and not have to go through the hassle of all the financial impacts, but also the time that it takes to onboard, train, locate, etc.
And one thing to note on that too about the scalability part is that is part of why we want it to also feel like a partnership. Obviously, the more in tune we are with you, we can scale even quicker if we needed to, right? So if we know you're going to need 10 people in 2 weeks or in January, those are really great conversations to always have, as opposed to treating it like a vendor relationship. It really is a partnership.
Good point. And I would stress that we've turned down some clients who looked at us as a, I don't know, sweatshop or outsourcing center or something. That's not how we operate. We see everything we do as partners. You'll see our 3 different locations. We have centers in Zimbabwe, which is the top building there. We have center in Zambia, the middle one, and then in Costa Rica there at the bottom. We currently have about almost 1,300 team members now, supporting 3,000 practices. I believe we're at 73 DSOs. I think we've got Nina, about 60 that are RCM clients. Not of those DSOs, we have about 60 RCM clients, and then we are in 46 states and then 9 different countries as well.
So I really wanted to just take a second to highlight the amazing RCM team. These are individuals that support our clients' team members. And all of these individuals, as when JW was talking about our elite program, they come with the elite program. You get their support. So I really want to highlight Dominique. She is our director of training and auditing. So she handles all of our quality assurance, training team members, and essentially deploying team members to help support your team member. Chipo is there really, she's my mini me, helping me keep things going, keeping everyone on task and making sure that our team members are really delivering. Other people to highlight, Tanaka and Natasha really also do handle the training of these team members from day one. And we really do a in-depth training over those first 90 days that they're with you. And then Rudo, Michael, and Anelli are individuals that get assigned to offices, and they're there to help support the relationship. So just want to highlight the amazing elite team that we do have. Okay, so this is really going over all of the RCM pillars that we do support. One thing to highlight is when you're getting a team member with us, even if it is in the RCM Elite portion of things, these team members really can do whatever it is you want them to do. They're your employee, you can task them with anything. But this is specific to RCM, so I want to touch on that. So collecting patient data prior to the visit, insurance verifications. Typically, we're going to use any type of forms that you do have. If you want us to make suggestions on your forms or maybe trends that we're seeing because there's something missing on your form, we will absolutely help support that as well. We can submit clean claims and pre-authorizations, along with following up on those pre-authorizations, even reaching out to patients in regards to what the insurance company said on that pre-authorization. Following up on outstanding claims, payment posting, also contacting patients in regards to outstanding patient AR, helping you collect that, whether it's calling, texting, sending statements, any and all of the things. And if you don't have something already set up, it's something we can also help assist in. PMS data cleanup. So a lot of organizations are doing conversions. Conversions don't typically run very smooth, so there's usually some type of cleanup involved in that. We can also help with fee schedule management in regards to when you're getting new fee schedules, making sure that your coverage tables are accurate and up to date. And then also supporting in that enrollment in the EFT process. Many organizations just don't have the time for it. We obviously need your support there a bit, but it is something we can help with. All of those things, as you guys, you're okay. All of these things, as you guys know, will just really help streamline anything in the office and allow those team members in your office to really focus on patient care. So I just think it's important to kind of look at what it is your internal teams are doing and where are they maybe falling short, what are they not able to focus on? And those are really great areas to start your outsourcing experience. You can go to the next one. Okay, so we put together a few scenarios of projects and current clients that we've been working on and really been tracking the data to see how well our teams can perform. So I have 4 highlighted here. These are 4 current clients that we continue to track on a daily basis. So the first client, we were doing full RCM for them. So from insurance verification all the way to patient AR. During that time, we did reduce their aging by 53% in a 90-day period, and 36% of that was in their over 90 bucket. Now, one thing I want to highlight here is a lot of times when people read this, their assumption is, oh, they just did a bunch of adjustments. The insurance collections did go up consistently with this reduction in aging, so it was not just out of adjustments or anything like that. So we did also track their collection ratios. For client B, this was actually kind of a fun one because we were helping clean up unallocated payments. And during that process, our team actually found payments that really were never posted. So providers were not getting paid what they should have gotten paid. So during this cleanup phase, which this particular one lasted for about 30 days, we actually found $200,000 in unposted payments. So as you can imagine, those providers that weren't getting paid were quite happy with their next paycheck. And this is something we're actually continuously doing throughout different regions because this first phase was so successful. The third client was similar to just a typical aging cleanup project. So we were working on their outstanding aging. The difference here from client C to client A is for client C, we were not resubmitting the claims for the organization when we found a problem with it. So in this situation, we only had an 8% reduction, still a reduction. But what this proves to me is that when we are responsible for also helping resubmit that claim or fix that claim, you can see a much faster reduction in your aging. And I also noted on there in some offices, we actually saw 30 to 60% decrease. And in those offices, those office managers were just much more receptive and quicker to respond to us, which is why they saw the decrease. Last but definitely not least, this office bless their souls, they were 16 months overdue in posting insurance payments in their software. So we actually jumped in and helped them post the past 16 months worth of insurance payments. So in 2 weeks time period, the team was successful and they posted $1 million worth of revenue for them. And now we're moving on to aging, which has been also pretty successful as well with a 22% reduction. So
Nina,
a lot
can
of
I,
fun things. Yeah.
just a quick question I did have on this. Some of this was being done currently in offices, but I client D there kind of stands out to me. What would it have taken in a normal operations for that team to even be able to tackle something like that, at least kind of project based?
Well, so project based, that's really I think the issue is that they literally have to take individuals away and not have them focus on anything else, right? Do not answer a phone, do not walk into an operatory and help in any way, and don't talk to patients, just literally sitting there and doing these tasks. One thing to highlight on D, since you mentioned it, is this was a conversion situation. The office just was not comfortable with the new software, and that they got themselves into this predicament. So I think what I learned from it is it's okay to ask for help, right? No one in the office, they didn't want our help initially. 16 months ago, they all would have said no to this, but now they are just so thankful that they're actually even learning things about the software from us that they didn't know it could do. So it really is a collaboration. It's been fun to watch. Okay, things I think everyone should expect out of outsourcing, and with our elite program, this is things that you will receive. So we have a site manager. So during those first 90 days, we have many layers of support that your team member is going to receive. And the goal there is that our team members are meeting your expectations and that we're delivering value to your organization. Communication is key as well. If we're not aligned, it's hard to meet someone's expectations. So we're constantly meeting with you guys to make sure that we are in fact aligned and doing the things that you were expecting us to do. As I mentioned earlier, when I was talking about our team, we do many quality checks throughout those first 90 days. And then after that, we also do it quarterly. And we do share our findings with you specifically after the 90 days. So that you're aware of the things we're finding, what we're working on with your team member, and we highlight wins as well. I think it's always important to highlight that. And then customized reporting. Every organization is different in what they want us to do, what they expect the outcome to be, so KPIs, and just the different things that they're looking for in regards to trends. So every client really has a specialized reporting system that we create for them. And then with this, you also obviously get the oversight by myself. And really what that includes is me meeting monthly with a specific point of contact to go over the trends that we do see, and then any operational suggestions that we may have. We may find things during a aging cleanup that you just weren't aware of, and it's just simply because no one brought it to your attention or they weren't aware of it. So those are discussions that I would be having with you.
Nina, while we're on this slide here, again, this is the RCM Elite program that we were referring to, where there's oversight by our team and especially by you as well. If somebody is using a current system and maybe they want help tweaking theirs as well, so they've got their SOPs, they've got their systems. We're not necessarily coming in and just overhauling everything they're doing and say we only do it our way. Is that right?
Not at all. Yeah. So really one of my first questions to an organization is, do you have SOPs in place? And if they say yes, I ask them to share, and they typically want us to follow them. My next question is usually, do you want me to make suggestions along the way if I see any operational issues? Typically it's of course. And then for organizations that really don't have anything in place, and that tends to happen when they're growing, right? They just have not had time to sit down and write these things out and put these processes in place. we will offer to help support getting those put in place, typing them up, getting their approval and things like that. So yes,
Great.
it's your way. And then really everything after that is you giving me permission to give suggestions.
Yeah, I think the point is we're not going to
No,
change up everything that they're doing. It's just
No.
we can offer suggestions on ways to maybe
Absolutely.
improve the process. Yeah, and
Yep.
obviously we're providing the manpower too as well. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll jump into this. I think this is really important. There's we call it our 5 uniques, and why are we different? We don't do any long-term contracts. We've got a 90 days up front that we require to get the team member integrated into your systems, and then it's a 30 days after that. So we don't want to have anything long-term, full-time dedicated. These team members, when they hire them, even in the RCM Elite, RCM program, they're not working on other projects. They are actually dedicated full-time to working for your organization. So you can also speak to them every day. You can talk to them. You can help measure things. We want them to become part of your organization, for them to feel part of your team. University educated, I believe it's 94% of our teams have a university education. So they're very, very talented and dedicated in what they're doing as well. And then speaking the Queen's English is the most important. We found a lot of people think that, okay, this whole term of outsourcing, which we don't even like, we call it insourcing, is only something that's they're going to do back end work. There's going to be a language barrier. The clients don't like them. It's actually the opposite. If you called and spoke to me with my Texas drawl, you would probably be much happier speaking to somebody with a little proper English. And then no work from home. We'll get into that a little bit later. That has to do with a lot of issues, but primarily from the PHI HIPAA standpoint. We want to make sure that the data is secure as well. And here's the cybersecurity. I think this is a really big issue. This is whether you're looking at using us or anybody else. When you mention the different terminology, I think Bill and I were talking about it a little bit before. There's onshoring, which would typically mean that's within probably the U.S. Maybe Canada would be onshore if you're in the U.S. Near shore would be places like our office in Costa Rica, maybe Mexico, Belize, other things that are typically in the same time zone, could all the way even flow all to the LATAM countries as well. And then when we talk about far shore or offshore typically, then that's going to be places like we have in Zambia and Zimbabwe. And really the importance of that is, how is your data secured? Well, I get asked this question all the time. First of all, we're way more secure than somebody working in your front desk that's got access to all this information, who you may or may not know. But more importantly, we partner with Black Talent Security. They are not our IT company. They are a cybersecurity company, straight up. And they actually actively protect all 1,300 plus of our computers in all 3 countries. And they also provide us with 24/7 monitoring of all that. And all of our team members go through a Black Talent certification course, as well as a HIPAA certification. That's protection of that PHI. So the fact that everybody works within our offices, biometric controlled entrance, et cetera, that reduces the vulnerability that we have with any type of threat. And we partner with Abide. It's a HIPAA compliance company. Again, all of our team members go through different certifications. They get a dental certification, we call it. They are a certified dental coordinator. They have an RCM program that they go through, which is separate from that. That's an addition to the dental certification. And then the certificates that they get would be a Abide compliance for HIPAA, and then a cybersecurity. All of that takes place before they start with you. The dental certification course, the RCM course, and then the certifications for the HIPAA compliancy, as well as the cybersecurity. Yeah, touch base real quick on this. This is an easy one. Increase revenue and reduce burden. We talked about those things. We provide everything. So we're going to provide workstations, PCs, desk. We handle all of the HR finance. You get an account manager. We provide all the employee benefits. Our team members have full medical aid, they call it, health insurance for all of our teams. And what you're doing is you're getting this at a fixed cost. So you know going in exactly, there's no performance basis. It's not a revenue split. It's all based on the fact that you're getting a full-time team member. And then also, I think this is the biggest aspect. We have a pastoral care we call workplace wellness. We're really investing in their spiritual, emotional. We offer counseling support, and we've got a place they can go if they're experiencing personal depression, marital issues, family issues, anything they're struggling with. We've got to support, which I can assure you is the reason why our attrition rate is lower than any dental office, I assure you, and much lower than any other type of outsourcing that we have as well.
So different implementation options. We talked about it previously, but you can definitely just scale with us as you're growing. You can pick any amount of team members. You can have us determine how many team members we think you would need in order to take over all of your RCM. And then there's also hybrid approaches where we are really being implemented into your current RCM team to help support them because you have grown so much that they need the support. So just many different options. This isn't all or nothing. You really can pick and choose how you want to utilize these team members. And even outside of the RCM functions, as we stated, it doesn't have to be just RCM. You're muted, JW.
You couldn't hear me when I was muted?
No.
You know your why. I think this is important when you think about support DDS, what we do. Ours is transforming lives while making a global impact for the kingdom, and knowing your values. And I stress this with any company. Please don't put your core values on a wall and then don't look at them until once a year when you have a team meeting. Really know by them and make it important. And we know that we have that win-win-win for our teams, a win for our team members who get a job in a country that many countries that we work in have 70 to 80% unemployment, and also the win for our clients to get amazing team members. And then we do contribute 51% of profits back to various ministries worldwide, and we're proud of the fact that we're able to make an impact with that as well.
Great. I think I'll grab this slide here, and then we'll actually get into the Q&A. We did have a couple come in during the presentation. Great job, by the way, JW and Nina. Great info. Probably answered a bunch of these questions already. We may drill down on some of them to get a little bit more information from you on some of the questions that came in. But just so everybody knows, contact info here. You can either scan the QR code, which I will put up towards the end of right after the Q&A, and you can reach out and schedule a discovery call. You can go to supportdds.com/RCM. You can also go to info@supportdds.com, phone number there as well, which again, this will all be in the email that we send out after this. But why don't we just pull up our big Brady Bunch boxes here so we can see everybody. And I'll get into some of the questions that came in. One that came in here, and you mentioned it, I think it was you, JW. No, actually, Nina, it was you. You talked a little bit about where you both did, because you're talking about the project work that you were doing. And so the question is, how does your company feel about short-term projects versus long-term ongoing work?
Yeah. So obviously the typical method has not been short-term. In regards to projects, I want to say that we don't have long-term contracts. However, I do understand that in RCM, there is projects that organizations are going to need support on. I am very open to them, and it goes back to communicating. Really, how long does this look for you? Because these individuals are they're getting paid because they are working on your project. So I would want to just assure these team members that I will align something after the project. So it's just about communicating, but I'm very open to doing things like that. My hope is that you're going to be so wowed you want to bring us on for something else, but I do understand the need for short term.
Yeah, and Nina, I would add on to that. If somebody, I'm so confident in our team members, so confident in the ability of what they do. If you want to sign on for a 90-day contract and and you know, somewhere between 90 and 6 months, and you think that's all it's going to be, that's great. We'll come in, we'll help you knock it out. I assure you, once you're all said and done, you'll say, okay, we got to keep these team members on to tackle the next project or integrate them into our operations so we're much more efficient. So we don't get into doing projects, right? The whole goal would be to stay caught up so there's not projects. So yeah, and Nina, I would just stress that we're happy to do some short-term projects as well.
Okay, next one. Given the rapid shift towards digitalization and automation, we hear AI all the time, right? It's in our
Yes.
daily lives. It's, you know, it's the talk of the dental industry for the past umpteen years. So, seems like there's a big focus recently on AI in RCM. Can you talk a little bit about the balance between technology and human expertise, and you know, what are you doing currently? Do you use AI at all at Sport TDS?
We absolutely do use AI. There are many different platforms out there that you can use in RCM functions. I'm not going to name them all off, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows them. What I do believe is that we're just at the beginning of what AI in RCM is capable of. I think we're slightly behind other industries. I do believe that even if we were caught up, you always are going to need some type of human interaction within that AI tool. So insurance verification is probably the farthest along. Let's say an insurance verification AI tool says we can complete 80% of them. You still need someone to manage that tool, make sure it's accurate. So you do need some QA involved in that. And you still need 20% of your insurance verifications done by a human. So I think that the farther along AI gets, then we just have to hybrid AI with humans. So I don't think humans are going to go away in RCM completely.
Okay, this question came in, and JW addressed a little bit of this. So you have your outsourcing. So you've got your onshore, offshore, and nearshore. So maybe kind of pros and cons of each, and go through that a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's so many things to consider when you look at the whole term of outsourcing. You know, outsourcing can mean you're simply outsourcing that to a third party company, right? Which they're handling it on more of a contract basis, or maybe a performance basis, or revenue share, in any aspect of it. But when you think about, first of all, when you think about outsourcing in overseas, the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh goodness, I'm not going to be able to understand half the things they say. There's a heavy accent. There's the time zones. All of these things take on its own life. The benefits of doing something that would be onshoring would simply mean you're hiring somebody in another part of the U.S. You may be in New Jersey, and you're hiring somebody in California to work in your office, and that could be an outsourcing, what we call onshoring. When you look at, again, and obviously that has its benefits. You're probably speaking to somebody from the U.S. You probably don't have any issues with setting up any communications, et cetera. The downside is cost. You're probably looking at traditional costs that are going to be what you would to hire somebody in your office, or probably higher, because they're having to handle their own infrastructure, and it could be a contract basis. The laws have changed around that. You know, can you have a contract based somebody working at home? They may need to be a W-2 employee. Can they be a 1099? You start dealing with benefits. So to me, the complexity of it takes another turn. Nearshoring is great. Costa Rica would be a nearshore. You can get some excellent English speaking in many of those countries. English is not the first language, let's say, as it is in Zimbabwe or Zambia, but you do get high quality, and you're going to be same time zones. So people are working, most of the people in our Costa Rica office are working the same time zones as we are here in Texas, varying a little bit depending on the place you're at. And then all the way down through LATAM, you go all the way down to South America. Each of those has its own complexities, whether it be infrastructure, whether it be a language barrier, could be cost. The labor costs will vary tremendously between all of those countries from Central to South America. And then when you talk about the traditional offshoring, far shore, as you may call it, the advantages are you probably are going to get a much more attractive wage, and you're going to be typically in areas where unemployment is high and they're anxious to work. And the disadvantages is time zone. However, I think out of the 1,300 or so we have working now, I would guess that 90% of them are working on US hours. You know, they're working either for an East Coast, West Coast, Central, Mountain Time office. So they just match up. So I believe the benefits far outweigh when you talk about far shore or offshoring, because of the cost, and I think the reliability, the dependability, and the lower attrition rates. When you get into the US, I think the attrition rates are just going to be higher because people can hop, skip, and jump to another job quite easy, and you don't have that. So that's kind of the three areas when you look at a little bit of pros and cons about them as well. And now, to be honest, in all these countries, whether it's Zimbabwe, Zambia, Philippines, India, the technology is so good, you don't see latency on even the phone systems. So it's just like you're speaking and you don't see a big difference. Used to, there was a massive amount of latency. They had more hops, they call it. So there would be multiple hops getting back, and you might say hello and you're waiting a minute and then, oh, hello. And that's all but disappeared with technology now. So I think the advantages are clear to look at the far shoring or offshoring.
What about objections that you hear from potential customers about outsourcing revenue cycle management?
I think the biggest one is typically, are you going to do it as good as my team is going to do it? It's quality. And that's really where the oversight that we've implemented into the RCM Elite program has come into play.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times it comes back to the cybersecurity, and they'll ask, "Oh my gosh, you're going to be accessing my data. You've got personal health information, blah 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 blah," and you go through all these different issues, and I'm telling you, I think um, I think you have much more vulnerability with somebody you hire off the streets who comes in and plugs your USB drive in your front office, and there's no security there. And just FYI, a little free advertisement for Black Talon. I highly recommend, if you're not using a cybersecurity, you should use a cybersecurity. The average cost now is exceeding about $1 million per ransom, and pay $300 or $400 a month for an office. I think it's well worth the cost.
You did make an interesting point earlier that I had an aha moment in my head. I do think most organizations use their IT company for that. And you're right. Black Talon is literally just for the cybersecurity. They're not IT. So
yeah, if you're using a canned package that you got with your computer, or if you this deviates a little bit, Bill, sorry, but I think it's important because it also enhances what we do with Black Talon. The worst thing I know they talk about and I hear is, what about your cybersecurity? Oh, my IT company told me they had that handled. Wow, that would be the first red flag that would be going off in my mind. Would be a bad example. Go get a third party, whether it's Black Talon or anybody else. Go get a third party to assess that, because I can assure you, those are the ones getting hacked, and those are the ones looking up with 30 of their offices locked down, and they owe $1 million ransom, and you're stuck. And so I think there's reality to that. You're just pushing off what's going to inevitably happen, most likely.
Yeah, I think it's some great points, and we do a Cyber Watch column every month, and Black Talon contributes content to that. And I mean, it's just, you have to be living under a rock not to see all of the breaches and things that have happened in the past, year and a half, that have specifically affected dental companies in big ways, whether they're DSOs or distribution companies. It's insurance providers. It's been a really eye-opening to see that it affects every individual and every person in every industry.
Yeah, and I would even add to that. I mean, like, we use what they call SentinelOne, which is a software that's loaded on literally every single computer. And what happens is if somebody did download, or if they were accessing a website, and if it recognizes that that's not something they normally do in their normal course of business, it literally just locks down that computer until they can come in and Black Talent gets notified and they let us know that they're checking into it. So it's very, very detailed. And I think it's important. It's important, and that's probably, Nina mentioned an obstacle, but I think many times they won't tell us, but in the back of their mind, somebody has said, "Woo-wee, I can't believe you're going to do that in Africa. That's crazy. What happens if your data gets stolen?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable." Know the facts, right? Just know the facts.
You answered this earlier, but I think it's really, really important. HR, whether it's keeping people, whether it's finding people, it's still a huge challenge in the dental industry. You talked about your attrition rate being extremely low. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you keep the staff motivated and engaged? Like you talked a little bit about some of the benefits that you offer, but it'd be great to kind of hear that, whether it's somebody's going to partner with you or just to help them with their DSOs and the challenges that they're having.
Yeah, and look, I think whether we're doing it to enhance our attrition rates, and they're literally, the voluntary attrition rate means people quitting in our office is 0.52% a month, which is unbelievably low. In a normal outsourcing environment, it can range anywhere between 10 and 15% per month, which translates into some high annual rates. And you're seeing some of that within a dental office, right? I mean, some of the latest studies say that 52% of people working in the front of a dental office are actually considering a different position or looking for another role or thinking about doing something different, changing industries, et cetera. So to me, there's a number of things you could do. Number one, make them feel appreciated and a part of your organization, right? Pat them on the back, tell them how good of a job they're doing, include them. We say this with the outsourcing. Include them into your team meetings. Make sure if you've got a Wednesday huddle, include them into that. Celebrate birthdays. We've got one company, I love this. They're top, and they've got a big group with us, almost like, I think around 40 people. And they actually have a monthly kind of a virtual lunch. So they buy everybody lunch in our office. We facilitate that for them. They pay, I don't know, $5 a meal or something. And we bring a meal and everybody has a virtual lunch, and their C-suite will come in and actually have a conversation with them. How are things going? So if you'll invest some time, and look, this doesn't even happen in offices in the US, right? They're not doing it. Everybody's coming in, they're rushed, they're hurried. I would say the most important thing, people, when they do these studies, Bill, they always think that money, pay, compensation is going to be at the top of the list. It never is. It's always like number 3 or 4. That number 1 is they want to feel valued and appreciated. They want to be said, "Hey, you're doing a great job. Hey, we really appreciate having you here. Wow, you're making an impact on our business." And so it's important, I think, that you do that to keep the attrition low. And then maybe most important is that the cost of rehiring and retraining, and then of maintaining a full-fledged HR department and a recruiting department and paying for ads on LinkedIn and paying for ads on ZipRecruiter and everything else. I mean, those are all great opportunities and ways to grow your business, but somebody has to do that, right? And we've got DSOs that have everything from the controller on down. We've got a 20+ office DSO that their entire accounting team is in our office from the controller level down. So just think about how much time. Well, first of all, just start with money. It's going to be 50% or less across the board. But then look at the time, the benefits. It's amazing the number of mature organizations who tell me, I can hire somebody locally for about that. And it's like, no, you can't. You just can't do that. And also, what level is that? What level of performance is that going to be? So I think it depends on the excellence levels as well.
Flow of communication. So from, your folks that support DDS to the DSO and back, can you discuss a little bit about how that's handled?
Absolutely. Communication is key, and that is what makes it successful. So first off, we do have a weekly huddle to go over specifics that are happening, especially in those beginning stages. It's similar to when you bring an employee into your office. They're not just going to learn everything all in one day. You know, there's things that are going to happen that we need answers to, or roadblocks that we're having. Beyond that, with RCM, there can be a lot of back and forth. You know, maybe we need, maybe there's no chart notes in a patient's chart, and obviously we can't write chart notes, but the x-ray is there. So we need the office to know about this. We usually decide this at the beginning stages of our relationship. Do you want us sending a weekly email recap of all the things we need? I don't suggest that personally. I think a live spreadsheet is typically the best form to go. So our team would put that information on there. We would assign it to JW to handle, JW would handle it, and then assign it back to us. It is imperative that we have that. And those success stories that I talked about are due to us having that internally with the office.
Great.
I just wanted to be
Go
clear.
ahead,
You're
Judy.
not really assigning that to me, are you?
No, you're,
Oh,
it's
good.
already past due.
I was going to say, I'm not going to be very good at that. So hang on.
Couple more questions here, and you know what I'm going to do now? We still have like 2 or 3 more, but I want to make sure you've got this screen up here so people, if they want to reach out to you, can. We're not signing out just yet. I've got like 2 or 3 more really good questions, and then we'll make sure we finish up before the top of the hour. Question about ramping
Bill,
up
I
your-
might just add, if you want to contact, it's in the chat, but Nina is happy to have an email directly from you. It's just simply nina@supportdds.com, and she's really good about replying and getting you what information you needed to. Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, JW. That's a great point. Nina@supportdds.com, and we'll put that in that follow-up email that we send out to everybody. So you can reach out to Nina, or you can just schedule a discovery call through the QR code that we have. As you're ramping up your DSO, is there a specific, like the right time or ideal time to bring an RCM outsourcing partner? Like, do you have any kind of best practices for something like that?
You know, this is really a great question. And I think it depends on your long-term growth and really what the vision looks like for the organization. I think if you are bringing in, 4 or 5 additional practices regularly, you obviously have to start to centralize and manage this. So I do think it's important to pinpoint when you want to, but do I have an answer to give on exactly when that is? I don't, because I think it's also who you have surrounding you. If you don't have great internal leadership, I would say call now, call before you start ramping this up. But if you have really involved leadership, I think that's a good conversation to have internally on what does this look like and how much can our team actually manage? And when you can't manage it anymore, that's when you need to start thinking about that. So there's no real right answer here. Sorry. GW, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think do it sooner than later. What we probably find, Nina, I think you would agree with this. We find a lot of people who kind of get behind the 8 ball. Maybe somebody in their office was like, "Oh yeah, I can handle all the revenue cycle management." Nope, and they went, "Oh great, let them handle it for multiple offices or single office." And what I think we see is they get kind of in a mess. These postings get behind. So I think the sooner you can review it and determine that you have the right team. And look, we don't. I think I speak for Nina here. I know I speak for myself. If you just want somebody's advice, just call us. We're not going to push you to hire somebody. If you're just looking for, hey, I've got this person doing this. We had that recently, Nina, with a large group, and they were like, we're just trying to understand who we need in place, and it worked out beautiful. So we're happy to even offer that kind of assistance as a consultant, free consultant, by the way. So happy to do that.
Yeah, I would also say if you're the person making the decision on when you should outsource, if you don't know what your outstanding aging numbers are, or if you don't know what type of money is being collected on a monthly basis, you probably need more help than you think you do. So I think that, and that to me, that means that you don't have probably people around you giving you the information. You really need to know all of this in order to make an educated decision on when to do this. So,
last question here. How much should outsourcing RCM cost in comparison to an organization's revenue? Do you have any benchmarks on that? RCM outsourcing compared to overall revenue?
Well, I wouldn't suggest paying on a revenue basis. So I think that a flat rate cost is really the ideal. In regards to a benchmark, I don't know of one. I will be honest there. I would imagine that it's going to go into your staffing costs that your CPA gives you on the percentage of what that should look like. So to me, when you're thinking of outsourcing, you would put that number into that bucket and see if you're aligned. Because obviously we are team members too. So to me, that would be the best way to determine it. JW, do you have any great insight over there?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard all kinds of numbers, and I think they vary from the size, the scalability. If you're talking about a single practice, it's going to be one number. If you're looking at somebody who has 100 practices, obviously that number can be reduced down, just the economies of scale. But I think it is a great question. I would hate to just throw out a percentage out there because I don't believe that would be fair. We've seen it all over the board, but I would say set up a call again. Nina can look at the issues you're having, whether it's in the collection side or whether it's in the posting side, whatever that might be, and can give you some idea. Well, actually can give you some direct figures on what that's going to cost you. And then you can calculate it. That's a good piece for you. So, take some time. I would just stress, do this on the front side, not the back side. Don't wait till you get in a big bind and figure out what you need to do. Most people have a plan to grow, right? Bill, you're in this DSO world. Most people are saying, we're going from 5 to 12 offices this next year. Wow, if you're doing that, you might want to think about all of your systems you have in place, especially your revenue cycle management.
Yep. Yeah, great points. Well, great. I mean, we are going to give everybody about 2 minutes back in their day here. We're going to finish up early. Thank you, JW, Oliver, Nina Lewis. Great conversation. Again, everybody for joining us today. We really appreciate you being part of the DSO Study Club series here at Group Dentistry Now. Also, look for this recorded video. JW's got his mustache on too. I don't know the backstory there, but
well, I just think it makes me look a little more distinctive. I'm thinking about, well, I can't grow one like this, but I'm thinking if I just tape this on, it would be pretty nice. I like that. What do you think, Bill? I'd be more like you, Bill.
I don't think I could grow one like that either. So nor would I want
That's
to.
a stash. That's a stash.
So look for the video recording, look for those emails. And again, if you want to reach out, Nina at supportdds.com. Again, thanks. Great conversation. Really good questions from the audience too.
Yes.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Nina.
Thank you.